Beneath the gloomy sky, clusters of clouds loomed. Uncertain whether it was day or night, the red dunes, faint and desolate, were just as eerie. Not a single soul in sight, not even a gust of wind. This place resembled a desert, but more like a desert from hell. The scene seemed frozen in an eerie flow of time. On the flat expanse of sand, a figure in a long cloak moved forward, step by step. It was Set, leader of the Western Wasteland tribe. On Earth, he was rumored to have slaughtered every last mutant beast in the Western Wastelands. Standing above all, as he walked, he suddenly halted, furrowing his brow. His pupils flickered with an unusual glint. "So, it's you?" The air was thick with the stench of blood. Set gazed at the golden monkey, battered and soaked in fresh blood, dragging itself from some unknown place, leaving a long crimson trail across the sand. Clutching a staff, it struggled to crawl forward. But here, its strength failed. It could only collapse, panting heavily. Beside it lay a massive stone, the seal of the Monkey King, nearly as large as the monkey itself. Set glanced at the stone, then lifted his head toward the sky. The short black fur bathed in the dim red light gave off an aura of mystique. Its gaze, however, was not on Monkey, but fixed upon a nearby mountain of grotesque mutant beasts, a towering heap of slain creatures. The stench of blood didn't just come from the golden monkey. It also emanated from the colossal beasts piled nearby. "You're truly formidable," Set remarked indifferently. "To take down so many rampaging mutant beasts alone. They must have been the ones that attacked Crocodile City." Indeed, these were the very beasts that the golden monkey had slaughtered on its way back to the center, only to find the Emperor Crocodile alive once more. Set's voice remained indifferent, as if none of it mattered. "To accomplish all this alone, you became strong for revenge?" Set's voice was calm. "Yeah, that was the main reason," Golden Monkey replied. "But after revenge, there's nothing left to gain." Golden Monkey sat cross-legged across from Set, a small fire flickering between them, as if they were sharing stories by a midnight campfire. The flames danced in its eyes as it spoke of its vengeance. "After this, other creatures will fear me. They won't dare to bully me anymore. My people can finally live atop the trees in peace." Set asked. "And what if they retaliate?" "Of course, they will. That's inevitable." Golden Monkey's voice was light, almost indifferent. "You kill them for revenge. Then they take revenge on you. In the end, there's no conclusion. Just an endless cycle. Both races could face extinction." The conversation seemed to lead nowhere. Both sides trapped in a dead end, staring into the fire for a while. Golden Monkey suddenly spoke, its expression dark and solemn. "I will wipe out their entire tribe. In my first act of vengeance." The sheer depth of its hatred, the overwhelming thirst for revenge, was enough to make one's skin crawl. Yet Set remained composed, gazing at the monkey with a steady expression. "You're not afraid of moral corruption?" he asked. The idea was almost laughable. Who would talk about morality with a mutant beast? Golden Monkey had never seriously considered the question before. It simply replied, "That is human morality. What I want is for my people to have a place to survive." As it spoke, its spiritual energy flared, its conviction too deeply rooted to be shaken. Set only responded, "I understand." He asked no further questions, while Golden Monkey braced itself, expecting a lecture that never came. "Follow me," Set stood up, gripping his staff, looking down at Golden Monkey. I will take you to a place, on the lands of Blue Vast Star. Suddenly, a streak of blue light shot across the sky. It was a clan leader's seal. From a tribe deep within misty mountains. Hurtling at breakneck speed. It burned brightly upon colliding with the air, glowing as if ready to explode. Its surface reflected dazzling sunlight, blinding to anyone who looked directly at it. The stone crashed into the ground, causing a golden sphere to erupt nearby. Beside it, something else had been hurled to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. Something tumbled in the opposite direction, dragging across the dirt. A white-furred creature. It was the boar, Golden Monkey's friend. And not far away, Badger, their companion. Badger had just been struck, barely clinging to life, his body battered and torn. At the heart of the battlefield stood Sigma. At this moment, Badger was being lifted high into the air, his throat clamped in an iron grip. The earlier shockwave had been the work of the god of creation, mercilessly crushing the two mutant beasts. Badger hung there, mouth agape, unable to close it, completely overwhelmed by the sheer power of his opponent. But who was he? One of the three beasts, afraid of neither heaven nor earth. Would he now fear this being, neither truly beast nor god? No. In a flash, Badger's claws shot out, grasping the wrist of the god of creation. He roared, pouring both blood and spirit energy into his attack. His ultimate move, thunder forged from spiritual energy. The attack's range was vast, powerful enough to strike 5 Sigma at once. But not even one of them flinched. Sigma remained unmoved, his arms still raised high. He laughed, mocking. Is that all you've got, Badger? This level of attack is meaningless. Enough. All three of you, just die together. Sigma's voice was cold, final. But he wasn't speaking to Badger. He was speaking to Golden Monkey. At this moment, the monkey was surrounded, impaled in an instant if it so much as flinched. The formation of deadly spikes had locked onto it. A moment's lapse in focus had left it open to this attack. Sigma's crimson pupils gleamed with cruel amusement. Not long now. They'll all be joining you soon. The instant the spikes lunged forward, Golden Monkey's eyes snapped open. That bastard. He just said he would kill my friends. Badger. The boar. How many times had they fought side by side? How many times had it watched helplessly as they stood on the brink of death, battered and bloodied? And the Monkey King, the one it revered most. They had all fought to protect its kin. And what had it done? Had it ever truly avenged anything? It always spoke of vengeance. But had it ever fulfilled it? A surge of hatred roared through Golden Monkey, an overwhelming fury that burned in its eyes. At that very moment, the spikes struck. A deafening crash. Golden Monkey's figure vanished. Sigma tightened his grip on Badger's throat. Seeing him foam at the mouth only made him more ecstatic. He wanted to savor this moment, to break him slowly. Lifting Badger higher, he turned toward the remaining enemies. Now, it's just you two left. The furred beast would be easy to finish off. A single spike through its skull, and it would be over. Badger was out of options. No strength left to resist. He could only wait for death. But then, the clan leader's stone seal, which had been suspended high in the sky, suddenly changed direction. Like a lightning bolt, it shot downward, and with a thunderous impact, it crashed into the ground once more. this time landing dangerously close to Sigma. The shockwave sent dust and debris rolling in waves across the battlefield. The force alone jolted Badger back to consciousness. Even Sigma flinched. Both of them turned, gazing at the source of that sudden, overwhelming surge of spiritual energy. A hand burst forth from the earth. No! A colossal hand, emerging from the mountainside itself. Towering, monolithic. But its fur was unmistakably familiar. Sigma's eyes widened in horror. Don't tell me! His grip around Badger's throat loosened. Badger, nearly choking, felt tears sting his eyes. He tried to speak, but only managed a single hoarse gasp. Joy. Relief. They had come to rescue their friend. But their friend had come to save them. Many mutant beasts knew about it, but many more did not. Deep in the distant desert abyss lay the site of the third great spiritual energy eruption. Unlike the waves of spiritual power that once swept across the entire world, this time, the Western Wastelands desert held a singular, concentrated source. The abyss itself. Set led Golden Monkey there, explaining as they approached. Every beast, every human, desires this immense power. And yet, none who enter survive. The energy here does not grant strength. It tears flesh apart. It grinds bodies into dust. That is why this abyss is not just a source of power, but a graveyard of lost souls. Set was not in a hurry. Instead of revealing his true purpose, he continued his tale. In Misty Mountains, your kind has a beast called the Devourer. Its ability is terrifying. It consumes all minerals and spirit essence, transforming them into its own power. Surely, you can guess who I'm speaking of. Panda's crimson cloak billowed as he spoke. But one of its most terrifying abilities is that it absorbs without consequence. No side effects. No drawbacks. He led Golden Monkey to the very edge of the abyss, gazing downward into the endless void. Set finally turned to it and said, "But your power surpasses even that beast. It can only consume minerals and spirit essence. You can absorb anything beneficial to you." He paused, lost in thought. Perhaps you are capable of conquering this abyss. Perhaps you can grow stronger by consuming everything within it. Cleanse the lingering souls with the spiritual stone on your back. But do not take a single misstep, for if you fail, the spirits here will consume you completely. When Golden Monkey emerged from the abyss, it was no longer the same. The small, nimble creature had become a monstrous, fur-covered titan. Its breath exhaled white mist, thick and unnatural. Each step spanned dozens of meters. Each movement sent tremors through the land. It turned its gaze to Sigma, a gaze filled with unrelenting hatred. Then, boom! Columns of raw spiritual energy erupted from the ground, tearing through the battlefield. Sigma barely dodged the first, releasing his grip on Badger in the process. But before he could react, a second column shot toward him.